Alicia, how do I say your last name?
Mitas.
She has the Midas touch.
My history teacher said that. My old history teacher said that.
Dad joke, Liam.
Yeah.
I love that I'm just at dad joke level now. Yeah, I'm basically could be like a high school history teacher making terrible jokes. I love it.
I'm Alicia.
And I'm Liam. We both have OCD. And instead of spiraling alone, we decided to turn our symptoms into a podcast. You're welcome.
Here, we overshare real stories, laugh through the anxiety, and talk to actual experts who can explain why your brain keeps asking, what if I accidentally marry my cousin?
Whether your thing is hand washing, mental rituals, or just silently panicking during normal conversations, congrats. You have found your people.
This is a safe place. Unless you're an intrusive thought, in which case, get in line, buddy. We're booked.
So grab a weighted blanket, cancel your plans for the 5th time, and let's dive in. This is the OCD Confessional.
And yes, we did check this recording 4 times before uploading it.
Tell me about Halloween.
Okay, so it's Halloween night. I always dread it because it's just so chaotic. It's dark. I worry about my children. Are they going to run off? Will I be able to find them? So every year, it's like the same anxiety leading up to this evening. I used to love Halloween, but as my kids have gotten older and less interested in costumes and dressing up, it's just kind of become like a night of chaos. And Parker's in 6th, so middle school is that turning point where they want to be independent. They want to, go off on their own with their friends. Well, no one really prepares you for when that night is coming. And this was that night for us. So he said, wait, you're coming with me? And I was like, wait, you don't want me to come with you? What do you mean? He's like,
no.
well, no, Mom. He's like, everyone's just going on their own. And I was like, well, I don't understand that. What do you mean? How far are you going to go? So he has an Apple Watch. He doesn't have social media or anything. He just has a watch with a phone number. So I'm able to get in touch with him. I was like, okay, I guess, if there's a big group of you guys, we'll be here. I can watch him on his watch. Then he's like, can I stay the night at so-and-so's house? And we know this family. So that wasn't an issue. But this house for them was brand new. I said, text me when you get there. Because in my mind, my fabulous mind, I'm thinking his friends are going to leave him. His watch is going to die. And he's going to be wandering the streets. So I'm asking Spence, I'm like, okay, if this happens, and Spencer's like, well, he's a smart boy. He knows our phone number. If his watch, and I'm like, well, who's he going to ask? You gonna ask a complete stranger on Halloween dressed up in a costume? Like what? So it was the worst case scenario for me. From the moment he said we're going to walk there, I went straight panic mode. But I knew that he was with our neighbor who also had an Apple Watch. So I texted his friend, his best friend, and I said, hey, are you guys there? Are you guys there? And he wrote, almost. I said, can you text me? So now I needed, if my son failed to remember to text me, at least I had backup. And then I just kept blowing him up. I just kept texting him. And I was like, well, where are you now? And are you there? Is the house safe? Like, here I am thinking there's this new house that's like, what if there's a secret hole he falls down? And nobody knows he's missing. And then I was like, well, what if the whole group gets to the house and they forgot, oh, wait, Parker was with us. And they realized that 30 minutes later that he's not around. And so Spence comes out and I was like, we shouldn't have let him go. This was a terrible idea. We're terrible parents. We shouldn't have done this. And he's like, no, what you're doing is not okay right now. And you need to reel it in. And I was like, no, this is all your fault if something happens to him. And so we started going at it. I know, because in my head, it was like I was convinced something terrible was going to happen because I let him go. And I thought of every single possible irrational thought that could possibly happen to him within a 2-block radius. You lose that sense of, is how I'm acting appropriate? It's new for me. So give myself grace for being a little freaked out that my son is not with me for the first time on Halloween, mixed with, okay, I shouldn't be having all these images of him dead.
That is the classic OCD thing, is that your fear of something happening to him is totally valid. And almost every parent would feel that way for the first time their kid is away from them on Halloween. You're sad that he's not going to be with you, that that moment of your life is gone, and he's going and staying at someone's house. It's a few blocks away. That fear is valid and normal. Where we take it to the next level is that we then spend the night with the intrusive thoughts of something happening. We spiral.
I've never been able to just let that come in, let it worry a little, and then like go to bed. No chance.
Well, that's the cruel thing about OCD is it really robs you of your trust in your own instincts. I'm always second guessing my instinct, my worries, because I never know, is that a rational thing or is that my OCD?
When the neurons are firing and the feeling is so real and the thought is so real, how are we supposed to know the difference?
No, you're right. It feels so real in that moment. Very tough to distinguish. Well, someone who knows all about that is our guest, influencer Alicia Mitas. She is a film and TV blogger who has also built a following in the OCD community, speaking openly about her lifelong battle with emetophobia and OCD, when she hit rock bottom, and some of her funny confessions along the way. Welcome, Alicia.
Alicia, we're so happy you're here to talk to us about emetophobia. That is a fear that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. We're going to explore that with you. We like to break the ice with an obsession confession. So what is something you have done or do as a result of OCD?
I do not drink alcohol. I am 23. I do not drink alcohol because I'm scared of it making me sick. Even like a sip of it, I'm scared of like it making me sick. People kind of think like if I tell them I don't drink, they kind of think it's for morality reasons. It's like no, I'm literally terrified. I will like throw up even from like the smallest sip. Emetophobia is the phobia of vomiting and getting sick, and it can be for like all kinds of reasons.
So take us back to when you first realized this was a phobia for you, or that first time in your childhood where you just all of a sudden became obsessed with the idea of throwing up. Take us back to that.
I was 7 years old and I got sick from like having medicine on an empty stomach. I had been like sick before as a kid, but this was for some reason like this time, like I had like severe anxiety about it and it would not like it wouldn't go away.
How did you get to a place where you're like, okay, this is what is happening? What were the things that were going on at a young age that led you there?
I didn't understand what was happening at the time because I was so young. My parents were like really like the only ones who like knew like yeah, like something's not really right. And so my story is kind of rare where I got like diagnosed with like, you know, OCD and emetophobia at a young age. So I was in first grade, so I would ask like my teachers questions about being sick, if I looked sick or like if there were signs that I was going to be sick, stopped eating a lot, like I was barely eating anything. So my parents knew that like something was not right if I was like obsessing and worrying like this much over vomiting.
So they then take you to a therapist, a psychiatrist. What were their next steps?
They took me to a therapist who diagnosed me with OCD. I do remember that moment. But I remember it because I was so, like, nonchalant. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm not gonna, like, you know, have to deal with this for the rest of." I did not think that I would have this for the rest of my life. So, yeah, we started off with CBT and then eventually, like, certain medications.
These interventions start.
Mhm.
Do you get better right away, or do things get worse before they get better?
No, it actually took me, like, years to even, like, find proper treatment because the way we were treating my OCD was not effective. They were only using CBT for my OCD, which works for some people, but not for, like, my kind with, like, a severe phobia, and I didn't really, like, get proper treatment treatment that worked for me until I was in high school.
Tell us a little bit about some of those moments for you. You mentioned you don't drink, and that's what a lot of people do in college, and how your fears have impacted your life and self-esteem in those times when you're supposed to be experimenting and going out and not supposed to be. I shouldn't say that. That's just what people do. And
Yeah, yeah.
how that showed up for you and how that impacted your life then. Were you masking it?
No, I couldn't really mask it if I tried. I wrote a personal essay a while ago on so it's in my feed. It's in my feed, guys, about just, like, how OCD basically just stole away, like, my childhood and young adulthood. I'm sure you guys can relate. We have, like, our OCD victory stories, but there's also, like, that grieving point where OCD has taken a lot. And so it took away, like, my whole social life. I barely socialized. I didn't really, like, have, like, a lot of friends. A lot of hangouts in middle school would end with, like, me calling my mom saying I was scared of throwing up, like, "Come pick me up."
I don't wanna pry, and so you can tell me if this is too, private, but ho did it affect you romantically? Like, was it hard to
Have a
find a partner,
relationship?
be with a partner who could understand, 1, what you're going through and be okay with it, and 2, I got to imagine even being, close with someone, hugging someone is probably a little bit triggering for you because, "Oh, what if they have the cold? What if they have the flu?" So, how did it impact that part of your life?
So I was more scared of, like, judgment regarding, like, my emetophobia if, like, a guy wouldn't wanna be with me if I had emetophobia, but let me tell you, I learned, like, if, like, a guy is, like, attracted to you, he won't really care that much, if that makes sense. I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna It's true. I'm gonna give you, like, an example. I dated, like, a guy for, like, a few weeks. He ended up, like, doing something jerky in the end, so it didn't, like, last long, but very first date, I was so scared because with my emetophobia, I have, like, a hard time eating, and especially, like, eating, like, in, like, new situations or, like, when I'm out or, like, when I'm away from home, I'm nervous about, like, eating. And this place was, like, 20 minutes away, so I was nervous. I had for dinner just a plain bowl of lettuce. That is it. Just lettuce, and he didn't really care. Um, and so yeah, it's it's so
It's
I
like
mean, it does.
another girl eating a salad on a date.
Yep.
Did he know prior to going out with you that you had a emetophobia?
No, because that's not really, like, a first date thing for me. Like, I did have, like, one boyfriend, like, 2 years ago where it, like, took me, like, a little while to, like, tell him. He didn't really care either. It's different with friends, but if I'm, like, dating, I like to, like, wait until, like, I've solidified a connection with that person, before talking to them about, like, my
Yeah.
OCD or emetophobia. But, yeah, I mean, it's affected me, like, romantically in behaviors, but, like, I've kind of learned that, like, also, like, if you're dating someone who's genuinely, like, attracted to you and likes you, they don't really care, which is nice.
Liam and I saw something on your story, I think it was TikTok, where you shared an experience about getting your hair done and leaving the salon with shampoo in your hair. Tell me about that one. I feel
In
like we're
my
due for a
defense, the
good laugh.
shampoo was rinsed out, my hair was just wet. In my defense. Um, yeah, I have a little bit of a hard time with hair appointments just because I'm scared of, like, the feeling of, like, being trapped, if that makes sense. I also when I go to, like, professional events, I I do most of the time, like, my own makeup because I don't want people touching my face. I'm scared of germs, and what if they did makeup on someone with the stomach flu, and what if they have a kid with the stomach flu, and just I'm also sensitive to people, like, touching certain parts of, like, my face and hair. I'm not kidding, I've had the same hairstylist since I was actually, 8 years old. Um, we joke that she will be doing my hair, until she's in a walker, and I'm 23 now, she's still doing my hair. It was in 6th grade, it was for, like, this choir concert I had. My mom said that she had to get something, like, from, like, a Walgreens or CVS up the street. I didn't wanna be left alone. I begged her, I'm like, "Please don't leave me alone, please don't leave me alone, like, I'm scared, please don't leave me alone." And so, um my hairstylist starts, like, doing my hair, and, like, she washes my hair, she has, like, shampoo rinsed out. A compulsion I have, or had at the time was, like, asking if I looked sick. I literally asked her, "Do I look sick?" And she said, like, "No, like, you look fine." Um, and so I said, like, "I'm sorry, like, I need to go." So my hair was still really wet. My mom was still down the street, and so I literally leave, and by the way, this was in December, so it's freezing outside. Yeah, so I leave and I go down the street and I go into the CVS and my mom's with my little sister who's like, I'm trying to do the math, I was 12, who's like 7 at the time. My mom looks at me, she has like this horrified expression on her face. She's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Mom, like I was scared. I couldn't like do the appointment like without you there." And so she takes me back and like, I finished getting my hair done, but I was that scared of like throwing up that I left my hair appointment midway, ran down the street.
Was there a moment when you kind of feel like you hit rock bottom and that things have been going up since then and getting better? Was there a rock bottom moment for you?
Yeah, this happened when I was, like, away at college. In 2023, it was, like, sophomore year, my OCD started to spiral and get really bad. It started honestly, like, with the obsession of, like, having, like, a tight feeling in my throat, thinking I was gonna throw up, but then that literally, like, snowballed out of control to the point where I was literally, like, missing so many classes, so many college classes, staying up, like, really, like, late, just scared of throwing up, and I could not even, like, leave my on-campus, like, college apartment. I could not even, like, walk down the street. I literally was, like, missing, like, so many I was going to classes, like, at that point, like, twice a week, and so that was when I really hit rock bottom, and then when I came back from that, I immediately started an IOP, which is Intensive Outpatient Program.
Is that where they introduced you to ERP?
No, ERP had been introduced to me a while before. I mentioned before that, like, treatment for my OCD hadn't really been, like, effective in, like, my childhood and middle school. I was first introduced to it when I was 15, my first year of high school. It literally changed my whole treatment because this was finally something that, like, over time was working, and ERP is also why I was able to actually, like, go away to college. I think we need a little bit of, like, a refresher for our OCD, like, for treatment, and so, um, when I was, like, in college, like, I wasn't really near, like, the end when like, before things got bad and I had been anxious, I'd been giving into the OCD a lot, and so I think like, more structured exposure, like, is something that I needed again.
What do you do when you actually get sick? Because I got to imagine between 7 and 23, you have gotten a stomach bug or two. It's very hard to avoid that entirely. And I would imagine that that almost serves as its own exposure therapy where you're like, okay, that was terrible, but I didn't die. I'm still here. Everything's ultimately okay. So have you actually gotten sick since this phobia started for you? And how did you handle that?
So I have not thrown up since I was 11 years old, um, which makes it kind of
Lucky
funnier.
you.
Yeah, when I was like close to my 10-year streak, I was like, come on, I gotta make it 10 years just for the sake of it, just for the sake of saying I made it without throwing up for 10 years.
I wonder if it would be good for you to just get a
I
stomach
was
bug.
just going to ask that. I
Let's
wonder
not
what therapist
manifest that,
maybe.
guy.
Well, no, we're not gonna put that out there, but I do. That's a great question, Liam. I wonder if just getting sick and throwing up would be helpful to just face it. I don't know if that's
We're gonna
funny.
put Alicia on a cruise ship.
I feel
Just put
bad
her
even
on a
saying that
cruise
because I
ship.
know that
No.
just probably made you feel really crappy right there. I'm sorry for saying.
Honestly, I feel like there have been times where it's like I feel really nauseous and sick and I have to, I do feel like there have been times where it's like a lot of people in that point would have like vomited, but it's like a Captain America Civil War scene. I'm like fighting tooth and nail to not throw up
Is it hard for you to say those words?
a little bit.
That's like
Yeah.
Liam can't say die in songs. Tell the listeners what you do when you cover that up. Give us an example.
Yeah, if there's a word, if the word die is in a song and I'm sitting there in my car singing along, I won't say the word die. So think of any song that has the word die in it. I just don't say it. Now I've started to say it, and I notice it when it's in the song. I'll say it, but it's like between die and another word. I'm like in it's like he's gonna die, like in between.
That is so funny.
I relate to that because there's certain words that, like, I'm not comfortable saying that, like, I'll literally, like, spell out that are, like, related to throwing up, but just if I say certain words, I'm scared that it'll actually,
Oh, which words? Can you tell us?
a lot of even if, like,
Can't say it, Leo.
even if, writing it when I write it out or, like, if, like, commenting it. Okay, I will I don't wanna say it, but the word funny, because like, stomach feeling funny, and then it's, um, like, strange because of feeling like, it's, like, words like that.
So you just struggled right now to say funny and strange.
Yeah.
What's happening for you in that moment? You just exposed yourself. You said it. Are you okay having said it, or are you like, why did this asshole just make me say those words?
No, I mean, I'm mostly okay, but I prefer not to say those words a lot of the time, because it's like I know deep down, but it's like I'm scared saying those if they're associated with vomiting.
Is there something you're going to do now to cancel the effect?
Like, I don't even remember what I do to cancel the effect, since I try my hardest not to, like, even say those words.
What
Yeah.
did you do during COVID, Alicia? Because not that vomiting was a major symptom, but some people did have that symptom. Was that a majorly triggering event for you, or was it just par for the course because you were already terrified of throwing up anyway?
I don't really talk about this a lot, but my freshman year of college, let's just say I almost crossed the Rainbow Bridge from COVID, and COVID complications. Um,
Oh my god.
yeah, oxygen was low. So then they were, like, hospitalized, and then it kinda, like, spiraled into, like, complications and COVID pneumonia. Yeah, that was, like, really scary. I was still worried about just throwing up with COVID. Um, and I was just, like at the hospital, I was just like, "Just don't give me anything that'll make me throw up."
It just goes to show how our brains work in that way. Like, instead of fearing death, you were still fearing throwing up.
Yeah.
Like your mind was choosing to hold on to that in that moment. It's wild to me. How do you trust yourself now? How are you able to, that's a big one when you have OCD, is self-trust. Are you able to take a moment and take a step back and say to yourself, okay, this is a bit irrational.
There are certain things where I can't really trust myself about, 'cause the way my OCD works is, like, I feel like the physical reactions along with the panic where you're, like, about to throw up or, like, tight, like, mouth and throat, and it's, like, a lot of times, like, I can't trust myself because my body's in, like, a locked, like, fight or flight reaction, and so it's just kind of, like, taking a step back and being like, "Okay, this has happened before and I've been fine. I haven't thrown up." I think also I have, like, some, like, stomach issues because long term, I know, like, the brain and the gut are connected, and so if you keep worrying, like, every single day about throwing up and your stomach is hurting, like, every single day, like, it's gonna affect you in the future. So it's just I kind of have to, like, present myself with facts without, like, complete reassurance in order to, like, have, like, any kind of, like, trust, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It's all connected. And when you get that sick feeling in your stomach, that is a chemical reaction. They say serotonin is made in your gut, right? So there is going to be an imbalance there when your thought is, could this happen, drives the cortisol, and now
Yeah.
you're feeling it in your gut. So your microbiome and everything is going to be poorly affected, unfortunately, so that would lead to gut issues. And your lack of eating because you
Yeah.
don't trust that it won't make you sick, and having proper nutrients. Where are you today with the eating? Are you able to have, like, full meals, or do you avoid certain things?
I have a hard time eating during the day. I have ARFID, which is like imagine picky eating, but like, intense picky eating. So my meals are like really like simple, and there are definitely like foods I will avoid and foods that I will avoid that remind me of vomit. It's so funny you brought this up because I I'm sorry if you guys like this food, but like I can't really eat soup because it reminds me of like sickness. And so my mom was asking me
Mhm.
the other day, she was like, "So if you found like a really wealthy millionaire and he like wanted to marry you, but he ate soup every single day, you wouldn't marry him." And I was like, "No." And I was like, "The only way that I would is I would not be able to be in the same room."
What are your safe foods?
There's this place that makes like
Okay.
this amazing gluten-free bread. That's a safety food. Cooked potatoes, baby carrots, any like small like vegetable, gluten-free pasta, rice is one. The main protein I do have is, like, grilled chicken.
Are you okay with that menu, or do you feel like you're missing out on life? And should part of your ERP be, let me start introducing some other foods that aren't plain pasta and rice?
So that list isn't, like, everything I eat, and so it's,
I add rice cakes that
yeah. It's a mix of emetophobia and also, like, ARFID where it's, like, texture-wise and, like, taste-wise, and
mm,
so I I'm okay, like, with that, you know, with that menu.
Thank you for opening up with us. I
Yeah.
know it's not easy to talk about, especially specific words that Liam forced you to say. Sorry about that. Um, it's really important to share these things, and I did pick up on something when you were sharing, was that when you went back to college and you were afraid of, what the professors were going to say about your disorder, or how other people are going to feel. Do you feel like your fear of people not understanding feeds the phobia? Do you feel like if more people understood, you could free yourself of it a little bit?
I'd feel more comfortable in certain spaces because, I mean, I mentioned that I grew up in, like, a religious setting, but with that, there came a lot of pain and things said to me. I've been told, like, 1,000 times that I'm, like, demon possessed or have a demon in me or that anxiety is a sin or anxiety means that you have a lack of faith in God and all that, and so there came, like, some pain with that, and then for, like, the non-religious side, it's like I grew up, like, with teachers not being understanding and teach my mom had to go to the school a lot of times. I am at, like, more of a place now where a lot of people are understanding with me, and I've talked with people in this OCD community, like you guys, who are, like, the best and where we've felt okay sharing our stories and, like, we may not have the same obsessions, but, like, we understand each other. It has encouraged me to, like, get out a little more, and which is why, like, I can, like, do some things I've been proud of in my life.
yeah, I've seen you on some red carpets looking great.
Thank you.
Alicia, where can people find you on TikTok and Instagram? What are your handles?
My TikTok is at Alicia Mitas. It's ALICIAMITAS. And then my Instagram is Alicia Not So Graceful.
Before we say goodbye, what's something you wish more people understood about emetophobia?
I did not choose this obsession or this OCD. This is like scientific, this is brain chemistry. If you took my brain and ran it like through an MRI, it would come up different as like someone without OCD. I didn't choose like this obsession. This isn't Build a Bear. You don't get to choose your OCD. um, and so people with OCD, they don't get to choose. It's not their fault, and they're not wrong for having OCD and for struggling with something.
It was very, very brave of you to speak up about this and share. I know
Thank
it's
you.
not easy being vulnerable. And yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys.
If my fear is flying, which it is, I've gotten a little better, I think, but it was so bad. It was so bad that I had to talk I had to get eyes on the pilots. I had to see them in person and make my own like assessment of if they had a look in their eyes, like, were they going to have a heart attack that night? Or did they look healthy? Did they look well rested? And sometimes I would even ask them, like, "Hi, we're good, right?" They're like, "Huh? What?"
Wait, how were you getting up to the cockpit?
Sometimes they're just standing there, saying hi. Or sometimes
Oh, so gotcha. When
yeah,
you're getting on the
yeah,
plane, you are looking for the pilots and seeing, does this
we make
person
eye
look healthy?
contact. Yes. Because you're looking for anything to calm the thought, and I would picture this thing blowing up. Like, I would picture in detail my head getting swept through the seat window. In detail, I would see this thing. I know, it's so funny now, Liam, but, like, when you're about to head on a long flight somewhere, I would sit in my seat and bawl my eyes out.
I got on a plane with you in Buenos Aires, and you were a
Oh,
wreck.
yes. Yeah, I think someone maybe gave me half a Xanax, in which I was like, "Oh, is this how everybody feels all the time? Because this is glorious." But yes, getting on, I almost told Eric that, like, "I'll meet you there. Like, I'll walk. I'll see you
Oh,
guys
what?
there." But do you know I went up to the pilot? I have a video of that. I went up to the pilots on that plane, and they could
You
not
did?
see out of the front. Yes, Liam, I have a whole video of me going up and saying hi, like, assessing them, trying to figure out, analyzing the situation, and they could not their windows in the front were foggy, and I about lost my mind. I was like, "How do you not see?" He goes, "We don't need to see, everything's computer." And I was like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "You can't see out the front."
You couldn't see
The
it all,
fog.
or it was just like,
You could not see at all. I have a video. It was bananas. I've never seen anything like it. And I had to go in and say hi, and I go, "Can you show me how this works?" Like, lady, sit down.
after you went and talked to the pilots, did you feel better or worse?
I felt worse because they couldn't see. I didn't understand that. I was like, "How do they know we're not going straight into a wall?"
I wanna see you start to get on planes with, like, medical equipment, like, and you just start running tests on pilots.